Hello students. Today we are going to discuss next chapter of chemotherapy, that is fluoroquinolones. If you remember the classification of antibacterial agent by their site of action, we have discussed different drugs which are acting on different sites of bacteria. First we have started with the drugs which are acting on the inhibition of metabolism like folic acid synthesis inhibitor. Drugs included sulfonamide and trimethoprim. We have then discussed the inhibitor of cell wall synthesis, which included beta-lactam drug, cephalosporins, vancomycin, and other miscellaneous drugs. Then we have shifted our discussion on the inhibition of protein synthesis. That drug included tetracycline and chloramphenicol, macrolide group of drug, and aminoglycoside. And now the remaining portion of this is the nucleic acid inhibitor drugs or inhibitor of DNA synthesis. This includes fluoroquinolones group of drug. Rifampicin and isoniazid you have learnt into lectures of tuberculosis, so we are not going to discuss them at this point of time. So let's start with the discussion of fluoroquinolones. So what we are going to learn in this session is introduction about quinolone and fluoroquinolone, their classification, their spectrum of action, mechanism of action of fluoroquinolone group of drugs, mechanism of resistance, their pharmacokinetics, adverse drug reaction, and therapeutic uses of fluoroquinolone group of drugs. After that, we will be discussing certain salient features of the individual drugs like ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, levofloxacin, sparfloxacin, etc. So let's start with the fluoroquinolones introduction. They are synthetic antimicrobial drugs which are preliminary active against gram-negative bacilli. Penicillin group of drugs are the drugs which are primarily active against gram-positive bacteria, while cephalosporins are broad-spectrum drug. Aminoglycosides are primarily acting against gram-negative bacteria. Similarly, fluoroquinolone group of drugs are also a drug which are primarily active against gram-negative bacteria. The first agent in this group was nalidixic acid. It is quinolone in chemical structure which was introduced in the year 1960. Discovery of nalidixic acid was as a byproduct while the synthesis of chloroquine was taking place. So it is just a byproduct of chloroquine synthesis which was introduced for use for the urinary tract infection patients. This is the quinolone structure you can see here. This is the quinolone ring which is responsible for all the antibacterial activity of the quinolone group of drugs. But the problem was allergic reactions, development of convulsions, hemolytic anemia, pseudotumor cerebri. These are the life-threatening complications which happened into the patient, those who were tried with nalidixic acid. Because of this adverse drug reaction, the use of nalidixic acid was restrained and further development into the group was remained. This development came into the market as the form of fluoroquinolones. Fluoroquinolones are fluorinated 4-quinolones, which means fluorine molecule was added to the quinolone ring at the fourth position, and they were introduced into the market into the year 1980s. They have additional characteristic that they have extended spectrum. They are active against gram negative as well as gram positive organism. They are having higher potency and they are effective orally. They comparatively develop resistance very slowly and they have less adverse drug reaction as compared to quinolones like ciprofloxacin, norfloxacin. They are fluoroquinolones and they are having less adverse drug reaction as compared to nalidixic acid. So let's see the classification of fluoroquinolones here. Can be divided into generation wise. Certain books will divide the drug based on their discovery, but the first drug is nalidixic acid, followed by that was cenoxacin. They are considered as a first generation fluoroquinolones. Their spectrum is mainly against gram negative, but Pseudomonas was not affected by this group of drug. Later on, as the second generation of fluoroquinolone came in market, which included norfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, etc. Their main spectrum of action is gram-negative organism, including Pseudomonas, and some of the gram-positive organisms also like Staph aureus and some of the atypical organisms. Then third generation cephalosporin came in market, which included levofloxacin, sparfloxacin, moxifloxacin, gemifloxacin, and they are having the spectrum of action similar to second generation, that is they include gram negative plus some positive, but the main spectrum is against the gram positive and atypical organisms. So this third generation cephalosporins are mainly meant for the action against gram positive and atypical organisms. Then fourth generation came in market, that is trovafloxacin and getifloxacin, and they are also having spectrum same as the third generation with broader anaerobic coverage. Trovafloxacin was a drug which was withdrawn from the market into the year 1999 because of its adverse drug reaction, mainly pertaining to cardiac system QT interval prolongation. Now we see the actual spectrum of action of fluoroquinolone group of drug. As discussed earlier, they are broad spectrum agent covering both gram positive and gram negative organisms. They have excellent activity against most of the gram negative organism, which include Enterobacteriaceae group like E. coli, Klebsiella, Protease, etc. They are also active against Shigella and Salmonella typhi, which are resistant with the chloramphenicol. They are also active against H. ducreyi, H. influenza and B. catarrhalis. They are also having excellent activity against Neisseria species, including penicillinase producing gonococci. Pseudomonas is inhibited only in urinary tract but not in other tissue. So this is the one highlighting point which you should know, that Pseudomonas infection is inhibited by fluoroquinolone only into the urinary tract but not in other tissues. These drugs are also active against certain gram-positive organisms like Staphylococci, including MRSA. They are also active against Legionella, Brucella, Chlamydia, Mycoplasma pneumoniae, and they are highly active against Mycobacterium tuberculosis and Mycobacterium avium complex. That is why ofloxacin is a part of second line of anti-tubercular regimen, which you have learned in our other classes of chemotherapy. Now we see the mechanism of action of fluoroquinolone group of drug, how these drugs act. These drugs are having dual mechanism of action. They inhibit the bacterial DNA gyrase enzyme, that is also called as topoisomerase II in gram-negative bacteria. The drug will combine with the DNA gyrase enzyme and form a phenolone DNA gyrase complex, which lead to induced cleavage of DNA, and ultimately DNA synthesis cannot take place. And in gram positive organism, they inhibit the bacterial topoisomerase IV enzyme, and this mechanism is little bit poorly understood, but let's see something more in detail. What is the action of DNA gyrase enzyme? DNA gyrase enzyme is the enzyme which induces the negative supercoils while there is a replication process going on. The individual strands of double-stranded DNA helical must be separated into two single helicals to permit the replication or transcription process. However, anything which separates the strands, which results into overwiring or excessive positive supercoiling of the DNA in front of the point of separation. So let's assume that you are opening a two end of spring. When you pull the two strands of the spring, there is a positive supercoiling at the point of the separation. To combat this mechanical obstacle, the bacterial enzyme DNA gyrase is responsible for continuous reintroduction of the negative supercoils into the DNA. So it is an ATP dependent action requiring that both the strands of DNA are cut to permit the passage of a separate DNA through the break, and the break is then resealed, which you can see here. That first there is, for the opening, the DNA strands are cut, then the negative supercoil is introduced, and then the seal is again back. So fluoroquinolone will inhibit the enzyme DNA gyrase in gram negative and topoisomerase 4 in gram positive bacteria. The enzyme nicks the double-stranded DNA, introduces the negative supercoil and reseals the cut ends. The DNA gyrase enzyme is having two subunits. A subunit of the enzyme is causing nicking and resealing process, and B subunit of the enzyme is responsible for introducing negative supercoils. Fluoroquinolone will combine with the A subunit of the enzyme and interfere with its function, which ultimately leads to inhibition of DNA synthesis, and without DNA cell cannot survive and bactericidal action is produced. Fluoroquinolones are the drugs which follows the concentration dependent killing, which means higher the concentration, bacterial killing rate will be higher. The same thing is shown again into this diagram, that you assume that there is a DNA replication process is going on. Quinolone block the reaction and trap the gyrase or topoisomerase 4 as a drug enzyme DNA complex. Here you can see into the figure that the fluoroquinolone molecule will combine with the DNA polymerase enzyme and DNA gyrase enzyme and form the complex. With subsequent release of the lethal and double-stranded DNA breaks. Because of the inhibition of the DNA gyrase enzyme, there is no formation of the negative supercoiling and there is no repair of the DNA. This strands break leads to SOS response activation into the bacterial genome. Bacterial genome has some kind of survival mechanism also called as SOS response, which leads to DNA repair mechanism involving low fidelity DNA pole, which causes lethal mutation leading to genomic toxicity and finally cell death occur. That is why these drugs are always bactericidal in nature. Fluoroquinolone are the group of drugs which are always bactericidal in nature. So after understanding the mechanism of action, let's go to mechanism of resistance. How microorganism can develop resistance with the fluoroquinolone? First thing is, either they can develop a mutatic change into the DNA gyrase enzyme. Either the structure of the enzyme changes so that the drug cannot combine with it, or the function of the enzyme changes so that even after the drug binds with it, there is no actual bacterial DNA inhibition takes place. Sometimes what happens, there is a less permeability of the drug through the porine channel inside the cell because of the mutation or the changes into the porine channel structure or function, which makes the drug less effective or ineffective. And there is a development of efflux protein by the bacteria which will throw the fluoroquinolone molecule out of the bacterial cell. And because of this three mechanism of resistance, fluoroquinolones are to be used judiciously so that resistance to them does not take place. Now we see the pharmacokinetic of fluoroquinolones. Oral bioavailability of the fluoroquinolone is very good and most of the fluoroquinolones are administered orally. One interesting fact is that plasma level which is reached after oral administration is equivalent to the levels which are reached after IV administration, because the drug does not go into first pass metabolism at all. That is why if you give oral or you give IV, the concentration achieved is same. That is why IV use of fluoroquinolone is very rare. Whenever required, you should go for the oral administration. But for administration by oral route, certain things to be kept in mind, that is simultaneous administration of aluminium, magnesium, zinc, iron and calcium lead to formation of complexes into the GIT and reduce their bioavailability. And food also delays the absorption of the fluoroquinolones, which means one should not take antacids, zinc or calcium supplements or food along with the administration of fluoroquinolones. The drug has tendency to get concentrated into urine, prostatic tissue, kidney, lungs and bones. It can also penetrate the macrophages and neutrophils, that is why it achieves very good concentration at the site of inflammation. The drug is metabolized into the kidney and excretion through the kidney is always there, but the degree of excretion is variable with the various component of the fluoroquinolone group of drugs. Now we see the adverse drug reactions of this group of drug. Because the drug is administered orally, most common side effect is nausea, vomiting, anorexia, diarrhea and abdominal pain. But there are certain very specific side effects which occurs with the fluoroquinolone group of drug, which needs to be remembered, that CNS side effect. It causes headache, dizziness, confusion, insomnia, agitation, delirium, hallucination and precipitation of the seizure into susceptible individuals. It also has specific side effect related to cardiovascular system, which include torsades de pointes or prolonged QT interval. It is also called as drug induced arrhythmia. It is more commonly seen with the sparfloxacin, gatifloxacin and moxifloxacin, that is third and fourth generation of the fluoroquinolones. These drugs are having more potential to develop cardiac arrhythmia with their use, which requires monitoring. One peculiar side effect of fluoroquinolone is that it produces rupture of tendon and cartilages, and the damage is usually permanent. Though the incidence of this side effect is very rare, this musculoskeletal side effect is very rare, but it requires discontinuation of the therapy. Because the ruptured tendon and cartilage will require huge time to recover, it is better that drug is avoided into the pregnant mother, nursing mother and into the young children, so that their growth is not affected. Sometimes it can produce polyneuropathy as a side effect. Allergic reaction, photosensitivity, leukopenia and renal damage are also some of the side effects associated with the fluoroquinolone group of drugs. One other specific side effect of fluoroquinolone is dysglycemia, which is very common with gatifloxacin. Here the word is dysglycemia. It does not mean hyperglycemia, it does not mean hypoglycemia. It includes both. Some of the patient will develop hyperglycemia, some of the patient will develop hypoglycemia after administration of gatifloxacin. And monitoring of the blood glucose level is also advisable into the patient, those who are prescribed with gatifloxacin, sparfloxacin or moxifloxacin, like newer generation fluoroquinolones. Now we come to therapeutic uses of fluoroquinolone group of drugs. So we have seen that this is a broad spectrum drug, can be useful for most of the gram negative and gram positive organism. So therapeutic uses can be complicated urinary tract infection, either it is upper or lower UTI, bacterial gastroenteritis, typhoid fever which is resistant to chloramphenicol, invasive otitis media, gram negative osteomyelitis because the drug gets concentrated into bone, respiratory infections, multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, atypical avian complex related diseases, leprosy and empirical treatment of septicemia. Now we discuss ciprofloxacin as an individual drug. It is a high efficacy, quick acting and bactericidal drug. It is having long post antibiotic effect on the resistant Staph aureus, Enterobacteriaceae and Pseudomonas. It is having low frequency of resistance, it does not have any effect on the endogenous bacterial flora, and it is active against resistant organisms also. It is less active as acidic pH. These are certain specific characteristics of the ciprofloxacin. So where it is used, it is available at the preparation of 250, 500 and 750 milligram oral tablets, and adult dose of ciprofloxacin is 500 to 750 milligram 12 hourly, that is twice a day. All fluoroquinolones are prescribed twice a day except the newer generation fluoroquinolones, they are prescribed once a day. Ciprofloxacin is available into the injectable formulation also of 200 milligram of ciprofloxacin per 100 ml of IV infusion. It is given 100 to 200 milligram twice daily. It is also available for topical preparation as eye drop 0.3%. Uses as discussed with as we have listed with the therapeutic uses of whole fluoroquinolones, these are the drugs which can be used for any infection. But blind therapy in gram positive and anaerobic infection should not be adopted at all. Presence of fluoroquinolone into the market does not give you the authority that you should rule out the disease and their symptoms first. Be very careful in prescribing fluoroquinolones when you are treating gram positive infection or anaerobic infection, because the main drug for the gram positive organism is penicillin. Main drug for gram negative organism is ciprofloxacin. In severe infection, therapy can be started IV infusion and you can switch over to oral therapy later on based on the severity of the disease. And here is the list of ciprofloxacin uses as listed with the common uses. It is UTI, bacterial gastroenteritis, typhoid, gonorrhea, chancroid, bone and soft tissue infection, gram-negative septicemia, respiratory tract infection, TB, gram-negative meningitis, conjunctivitis, prophylaxis of neutropenia, cancer and other patients. This is just a list of therapeutic uses of ciprofloxacin, but the just listing the uses would not give you full marks into the examination. Ciprofloxacin is most frequently asked short note for the examination point of view, and whenever it is asked as a therapeutic uses of ciprofloxacin, you have to describe the uses like mentioned here. Typhoid fever, ciprofloxacin is currently drug of first choice to be given as 500 to 750 milligram twice a day for 10 days, or you can give 200 milligram IV 12 hourly initially into the severe cases, followed by switch over to oral therapy of 500 to 750 milligram twice a day for 10 days. It can also be useful for the treatment of typhoid fever carrier state, which is where it is given as 750 milligram twice a day for 4 to 8 weeks. Typhoid fever is also called as enteric fever. Pharmacotherapy of enteric fever is also one of the frequently asked questions for the examination, where you should write drug of first choice as ciprofloxacin. Other use is urinary tract infection. Ciprofloxacin is preferred in complicated cases in treatment of prostatitis, but it is having less effect on the pseudomonas. It can be useful for bacterial gastroenteritis, severe cases which are caused by E. coli, Shigella, C. jejuni. They are responding very quickly with the ciprofloxacin. Dose remains the same, 500 to 750 milligram twice a day for 7 to 10 days. For gonorrhea and non-penicillinase producing Neisseria gonorrhoeae and penicillinase producing Neisseria gonorrhoeae, 500 milligram single dose of ciprofloxacin can cure the disease. Same for the chancroid, 500 milligram twice a day for 3 days, or which is given as alternative to ceftriaxone or erythromycin. For the bone, soft tissue, gynecological infection and wound infection, which are caused by the gram-negative bacteria, but gram-negative bacteria which are present into the bone and joint, they require prolonged therapy of almost 2 months to completely cure the disease. Here the dose remains the same, 500 to 750 milligram twice a day for 8 weeks, that is up to 2 months. For gram-negative septicemia, it can be useful for the treatment where it is combined with other drugs. For respiratory tract infection which are caused by gram-negative bacteria, mycoplasma and legionella, ciprofloxacin can be used. It can be used for the treatment of tuberculosis, in treatment for especially multi-drug resistant tuberculosis patient as combination therapy. It can also be used for the treatment of gram-negative meningitis, where it is used as alternative to third generation cephalosporin. For topical use, it is available for eye drops, which is meant for the treatment of conjunctivitis caused by gram-negative bacteria. It can also be used for the treatment and prophylaxis of gram-negative infection into neutropenia patient, cancer patient and other patient, those who are having immunosuppressive therapy and they require prophylaxis from the infection of gram-negative organism. They can be given ciprofloxacin. So ciprofloxacin can be considered as a prototype drug of the fluoroquinolone group. Now we see the differences of other drugs from the ciprofloxacin. We consider ciprofloxacin as a prototype drug and now we are discussing only differences from the ciprofloxacin. Second drug which came after ciprofloxacin was norfloxacin. It is less effective against many pseudomonas and gram-positive organisms are not at all affected. It achieves very less concentration into tissue which is almost negligible. That is why it is ineffective into the treatment of gram-negative bacteria which gets concentrated into tissues. But it achieves very effective concentration only into the urine and GIT, that is luminous structures into the abdomen. They have very good concentration of norfloxacin. Norfloxacin cannot be get concentrated into the kidney or the tissues, but it gets better concentrated into the ureter, then large intestine, small intestine, that is luminous structures into the abdomen have nice concentration of norfloxacin. That is why it is used into the treatment of this organs only. That is why it is used for the treatment of urogenital infection and bacterial diarrhea. It is available as tablet of 200, 400 and 800 milligram and 100 milligram per 5 ml syrup. Eye drops is also available as 3 mg per ml and dose of norfloxacin is 400 mg twice a day. Next drug is pafloxacin. It is more lipid soluble, that is why it is having better absorption, better tissue and CSF penetration. It is highly metabolized and partly it is metabolized to norfloxacin. The drug is cumulative in nature, that is why reduction in the dose is required into the liver disease patient. So pafloxacin should not be used into the patient with liver diseases. It can be used as alternative to ciprofloxacin in typhoid and gram-negative infections. It is less effective into the treatment of gram-positive cocci and listeria. Available as 200 and 400 milligram tablet and dose is 400 milligram twice a day. It is also available as injection of 400 milligram per 5 ml to be diluted in 100 to 250 ml of 5% glucose. Here one interesting fact is that pafloxacin get precipitated into normal saline and related solution. That is why it is always given into the glucose related solution. You have to dilute a vial or ampule into the pint of 100 to 500 ml of glucose to give the desired concentration to the patient. Next drug is ofloxacin. It is having little better action against gram positive and some anaerobic organism. It is having very good action against chlamydia, mycoplasma, mycobacterium leprae and mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is alternative drug for non-specific urethritis, cervicitis and atypical pneumonia. It can also be a part of multiple drug therapy of tuberculosis and leprosy. It is a second line drug for tuberculosis and it is one of the very important regimen of the leprosy treatment also, which you are going to learn little later. It is having high oral absorption. Food does not affect the absorption. It is having urinary excretion. That is why dose reduction is required into the patients of chronic renal failure. Uses are almost similar to ciprofloxacin, but it is specially useful in respiratory and ENT infections, and in gonorrhea 200 mg of single dose can cure the patient. Available as 100, 200, 400 mg tablet, and dose of ofloxacin is 200 to 400 mg twice a day. It is also available as injectable formulation of 200 mg per 100 ml of pint or 50 mg per 5 ml syrup or 0.3% eye drops. So basically it can be administered by all the routes of administration. Next fluoroquinolone is levofloxacin. Up till this, ciprofloxacin and ofloxacin were second generation of fluoroquinolones. Now we are shifting to next generation, that is levofloxacin. The advantage of levofloxacin is that it is having better gram positive activity and it is having activity against anaerobic organisms also. Having almost 100% absorption, mainly unchanged, it is excreted mainly unchanged into the urine. It does not have any drug interaction with the xanthine, warfarin, cyclosporine or zidovudine. It is mainly used for the treatment of pneumonia, chronic bronchitis, sinusitis, typhoid fever and pyelonephritis. Tablet of 500 mg is available and dose is 500 mg once a day, or you can give injection levofloxacin 500 mg per 100 ml vial is available, which you can use as a once daily administration. Next drug is lomifloxacin. It is having more activity against gram-negative bacilli and bacteria and chlamydia. Available as single daily dose. It is excreted unaltered into the kidney. It has drug interaction with warfarin only. Available as tablet of 400 mg to be administered once a day, or you can use it as eye drop of 0.3%. Next fluoroquinolone is sparfloxacin. It is having better action against Streptococci pneumoniae, Staphylococci, Enterococci and Bacteroides fragilis. It is used for the pneumonia, chronic bronchitis and ENT infection, which means sparfloxacin is mainly reserved for the respiratory tract infections which are caused by resistant organisms. It can be useful for tuberculosis, Mycobacterium avium complex, leprosy and chlamydial infection. But the problem with sparfloxacin or the subsequent drug which came into the market, that is fourth generation of the fluoroquinolones, they include phototoxicity, prolonged QT interval which may lead to cardiac arrhythmia. That is why caution is required into the patients, those who are already taking cisapride or class 1A or class 3 antiarrhythmic drug. Cardiac arrhythmia is a life-threatening complication associated with the sparfloxacin. It is available as tablet of 200 and 400 mg to be given once a day or eye drop of 0.3%. As mentioned earlier, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, these are the drugs to be given twice a day, typical fluoroquinolones. Newer generation fluoroquinolones, levofloxacin and lomifloxacin, they are given once a day. From the sparfloxacin and moxifloxacin and getifloxacin and subsequent drug, once a day but having some serious toxicities like QT interval prolongation, dysglycemia, etc. Getifloxacin, it is having good effect into the pneumonias of streptococcal origin, atypical pneumonia, chlamydial infection, anaerobes, gram positive and tuberculosis. But the adverse drug reaction are prolonged QT interval and dangerous tachycardia, which may lead to death of the individual. It may lead to phototoxicity, so the sun exposure should be avoided. It may lead to CNS side effect and precipitate the seizure episode. Swelling over the face can be seen And most important is dysglycemia. Getafloxacin has tendency to produce hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia. That is why, considering this adverse drug reaction, it is discontinued into the USA. It is not available into the UK, and other countries has also withdrawn the drug from the market. But regulatory policies in India is little bit lacking. So getafloxacin is available into the India, but it is used for the topical infections only, like for conjunctivitis as eye drop or as a skin ointment for skin infection. Next is moxifloxacin. It is having good action against resistant gram-positive bacteria, anaerobe and Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is used for the treatment of respiratory tract infections where it is considered equivalent to beta-lactam group of drug given as 400 milligram once a day. But again, same with the getafloxacin, it has adverse drug reaction like it augments the episode of the seizures, it produces cardiac arrhythmia and dysglycemia. That is why the drug is usually reserved for the topical use for the eye and ear infections only. So this finishes our discussion on the fluoroquinolone. These are the drugs which act on the bacterial DNA synthesis inhibitor. They will are broad spectrum drug but mainly meant for gram negative organism, and you should be very cautious while prescribing fluoroquinolone group of drugs. I hope you have understood the topic well, and if you have any queries you can ask here in the comment section. Thank you.